We are a quarter of a way through the season, and this one is going to be talking about the first quarter standings, and I'll explain the rest. What is up, NFL fans? Yes, this is Finn's Temporal Focus, and today we are going to talk about the first quarter of the season, where teams are, how the standings are, and I was doing one long video, but it was so much that I'm breaking it down into two videos. So you'll be getting two videos by tonight or early in the morning, and I've still got the preview of the Panthers video as well that should be up by Saturday morning. All the talk is Dolphins are done. Well, I got news for people. The Dolphins were done way before the Tyreek injury. However, the hope that I have to come out of this, we weren't going to have Tyreek anyway. This was going to be his last year in Miami regardless. Now, hopefully, I will say hopefully for Tyreek, this is not career-ending, although, let's face it, he's 32 years old. In NFL terms, that makes him about 60. And it does feel like he had kind of lost a step over the last year or so. So coming off of a broken knee, it's hard for me to believe it's not career-ending. But I will say it is career-ending for him in Miami. He was not going to be in Miami after this season, if he even made it through the season. So life without Tyreek was going to happen regardless. So maybe, hopefully, we can take a page out of, Lord help me, the Buffalo Bills playbook, because they kind of went through the same thing. Maybe we can find some diamonds in the rough that way. It was time for Waddle to step up. Darren Waller had an extremely impressive first game against the Jets. The 2 touchdowns, he only had 3 catches. We knew he was not going to be used a lot, but he's a 6'6" guy. He's going to be great for the end zone. Tua seems to like those tall receivers, although I rebut that because there's plenty of receivers. I know I bring up Mark Clayton all the time, but the fact is Mark Clayton could jump out of a stadium. It didn't matter that he was 5'9". He played like a 6'6" receiver at times, just because how many times did you see him go up with his knees around the guy's head? He just could jump ridiculous. But Tua does like his tall receivers, and or seems like he does, especially in the end zone. Haven't really had anybody since Gesicki. And so, therefore, maybe Waller is that piece. And then if Waddle can take the kind of the Tyreek Hill spot, and you've got Malik Washington, who's played good at times, maybe you can have something and see what your future is anyway. Maybe this season is a wash. I do believe it's a wash. But you have to start somewhere and see what you have in these young guys. And apparently we're forced into it now that it is time. It is time for these young guys to shine. So hopefully they can. Hopefully it is a addition by subtraction, because we're not going to be forcing the ball to Tyreek anymore. That is for absolute sure. So some of these guys, we'll see what they have. But we're going to get into the standings, like I said, kind of a 2-part video. So before you come at me with the second video, dude, don't you ever change clothes? Yes, I do, but I'm doing the same video in the same clothes. Anyway, we'll start with the AFC East. Of course, it's a real wash there. I was actually going to just write down kind of the teams that were really serious in this first quarter, but I went ahead and wrote everybody's numbers down The NFC is absolutely insane. Pretty much everybody is still in it, with the exception of maybe the New Orleans Saints. But starting with the AFC East, the Bills obviously 4-0. You only got two undefeated teams left. You got the Bills and you got the Eagles. The Bills have that division. Nobody's going to challenge them in that division. The only other team that is worth mentioning is the New England Patriots at 2-2. The Chargers in the West lead that division. Now, they did not look great against the Giants in that loss, but it's a team that you don't play very often, and those teams are rough. And then, of course, division games are rough, and they still have that half a game on the Chiefs regardless. So right now the Chiefs are 2-2, and the Chargers would have virtually a 2.5 game lead on them. But the Broncos are 2-2, and the Raiders are only 1-3. So I mean, that whole division is right there together, and that's one of those. I think it would be hard for the Chargers to hang on to it. But through the first quarter, Chargers have looked good. In the North, AFC North, the Steelers right now at 3-1. Don't know what to make of this team yet. The defense looks good in a game and looks bad in a game. Rodgers has already kind of complained, but we will get into that. He is at the top of the stat list for the season. Okay, not at the top, but he's in the realm. So he's had a pretty good season with his first year with the Steelers. And then there's really nobody else, because you really look at it, the Bengals are second right now with 2-2. How far are they going to go without Burrow? Nowhere. They have not shown anything since Burrow went down. They've lost 2 in a row. And then you have the Ravens, who I think can still challenge, even though they're 1-3. But they've looked pretty rough. I did not see them being 1-3 this season, but they look defeated right now. In that Kansas City game, Kansas City just absolutely waylaid them. And then, of course, you got the Browns at 1-3, and no big surprise there, other than they're upset over the Rams. But the Packers. They upset the Packers. But other than that, the Browns are the Browns. And then, of course, in the South, the Colts 3-1 and the Jaguars 3-1. Now, the Colts own the first place spot over the Jags right now, because the Colts' only loss was to an NFC team, where the Jags lost to a conference team. So they hold the number one spot right now. But the Colts look for real. A lot of people kept saying, oh, the Colts came back down to earth against the Rams. They lost by a touchdown. The Rams didn't destroy the Colts. They were in that game all the way up to the end. So I don't know what people are talking about how they came back down to earth and how the Rams kicked their butt. No, the Rams survived, and the Colts played as well as you can play. I mean, I thought it was a really good game. So I don't know what people are talking about. But the Colts look good right now. They look legit. The Jags, on the other hand, I don't know. The wins not impressive that they've had. Their defense is a little suspect. But regardless, they're 3-1. I'd give my IT to be 3-1. We're not, So hats off to them. And then, of course, you have the Texans and the Titans that are doing nothing. Leave a comment. Do you think this is how it's kind of going to shape out for the season for the AFC? Because, in all honesty, looking at it, I think you've already got 9 teams. I think there's only 9 teams that's really going to be really pushing for those playoff spots. And I know before you come at me with, dude, it's been 4 games. Like I said, I break it down into quarters. This is after the first 4 games. I'm doing the first quarter. After 8, you're doing the second quarter. You're doing the third quarter, so on. But right now, you really look at it. You've got the Bills, Chargers, Steelers, Colts, Chiefs, Broncos, and the Jags. And then I think you can actually throw in the Patriots And who did I leave out? Seems like I left somebody out. Bills, Chargers, Steelers, Colts, Pats, Chiefs, Broncos, Jags. So actually 8 teams. The Ravens is who I think I was leaving off. Because I just can't, I'm not going to give up on the Ravens. They're in a pretty weak division right now with the Bengals and Browns. That should be 4 wins for them right off the bat. Steelers, I don't know about. So, anyway, point being, I really think you have 9 teams, and the Ravens are on that iffy list at 1-3. So we'll see how that works out. But let me know, do you guys agree? I still think the Chiefs are going to end up taking the West. They're a game and a half back. So that dream may be over. We'll see what happens the next couple of weeks because they manhandled the Ravens last week. I think the Steelers are probably going to win that division, and I do think the Colts. I think the only one that's going to change is the Chargers. I think the Chiefs are still going to win this division, and they're still going to challenge for a Super Bowl, and I'm going to cry in the corner somewhere when they do. Neither here nor there. And then we move on to the NFC, which is absolute craziness because, like I said, everybody's in it in the NFC. The real dominant teams are in the NFC this year. We'll start again. NFC East, the Eagles, only undefeated team left. Also, leave a comment. Who do you think is going to lose first? The Bills or the Eagles? Just to throw it out there, and I haven't looked at the schedule. The Eagles definitely have a harder schedule than the Bills, but that Bills run defense really scares me. I did not realize they're ranked 31st, I believe, in the league in run defense, and that could be a problem. But I do know the Bills have a much easier schedule than what the Eagles do. But anyway, the Eagles, of course, you're 4-0 in the. Well, you got the Eagles in the East. The Commanders are 2-2. You got the Cowboys that are 1-2-1, and then of course the Giants 1-3. The 49ers right now, and this is insane. You've got the 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, all 3-1 in the West. So, and then the Cardinals are a game back. So all 4 teams are within like a game of each other. This could be very interesting. Now, I will get to if I think it's going to stack up the way that it is right now in this first quarter of the season. But as of right now, the 49ers do lead that division by game, wins, losses, even though they're all 3-1, or all 3, Seahawks, Rams, 49ers. And then you've got the North where the Lions have took back over that division. Sorry, Packers, it's going to be a little more difficult than you thought. Just because you got Parsons, they were done booking Super Bowl rooms, and you might want to put that credit card back in your pocket for just a moment because the Detroit Lions are now back in front in that division. You got the Packers second, which they are 2-1-1. The Vikings are 2-2, and the Bears are 2-2. So again, this is another division in the NFC that is within a game. Everybody is within a game of doing something in the NFC North. And then the NFC South, which is basically the AFC East because it looks really bad. You've got the Buccaneers that are 3-1. They got their first loss last week to those same Eagles. Played pretty tough, at least in the second half. And then you have the Falcons 2-2. The Panthers are 1-3, and the Saints are a lowly 0-4. I don't think this one's going to change at all. I think this division is Tampa Bay's easily, very, very easily. Again, leave a comment if you think I'm wrong. We'll go back real quick as far as the way these are stacked up right now, I do think the Eagles take the division in the NFC East. I don't think this is going to change at all. I think it's pretty much going to go verbatim for the most part, exactly the way it's lined out. In the NFC West, though, now the Rams are 3-1, as well as the 49ers, as well as the Seattle Seahawks. The games that I've seen, the Rams, I think, easily make it past the Seahawks and the 49ers. It's just my opinion. Now, I think tonight, I'm recording this Thursday, and I think tonight is the Rams and 49ers, so we'll see how that transpires. But the Rams look really good. They look really good. So I think the Rams end up taking the NFC West. And then you got the same deal with the NFC North. You've got the same deal. The Lions have that division right now with 3-1, but the Packers 2-1-1, the Vikings 2-2, the Bears 2-2. Now, that one is tough. I don't want to lay down on the Packers. They look really good. But these last two games, it has really been iffy. Now, I think Jordan Love has only thrown one interception this year, so it's not like they're turning the ball over a lot. But I don't know. Their defense played great against Cleveland. It was their offense that couldn't move the ball. And then they moved the ball all over Dallas, and their defense couldn't stop Dallas. So I'm just not sure. And I do like the Lions. I like their defense a lot. I love their running game. So I think it's the Lions or the Packers, and I'm going to go with the Lions in this first quarter. I think we'll see how it stacks up, but the Packers are literally right there. And I know a lot of people is going to be saying, dude, you're crazy. The Packers they got Micah Parsons. I get that they got Micah Parsons. And I think he's had, 2 sacks? I want to say he's had 2 sacks. I could be wrong. You can look it up. Leave a comment. Say, nope, you're wrong. He's got 3. But yeah, I think the Lions. That one could change. Could be Packers. Could be Lions. I think it'll be the Lions. And then of course I pretty much made the comment. The Buccaneers, they're going to take the NFC South. So that's pretty much, I think, a given. So that is where we're at in the first quarter of the season. Give me your thoughts. Do you think there's going to be many changes in the divisions, or do you think it's pretty much added up the way it is? And like I said, I think there's 9 teams still left, 9 teams in the AFC that have legit chances at playoff spots. In the NFC, it would be easier. I think there's like 3 teams that don't. The rest of them all have a shot at the playoffs. So NFC, very interesting. AFC, not so much. But I think it'll be interesting between those 9 teams. I think there's going to be a couple of teams that's going to be sweating it out right around week 17, week 18. So, like I said, give me a comment. Fixing to sit down here in a minute and start working on the stat leaders for the first quarter of the NFL season. It was very interesting, and I hope you check that one out as well. Like I said, 2 videos coming at you today, and then should have my Carolina Dolphins preview tomorrow. So either way, guys, make good decisions, and Fins up.